Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about how I have felt the power of art in my life. And everything that I talk about today pertaining to the power of art for me has been proven from one single moment. And that single moment is when I was about 29 and I looked at the Pablo Picasso up close and what happened to my life. God has as much power as that, but I could have chose that day not to recognize the stimulation, the authentic stimulation I felt from looking at that painting that day. And I could have ignored that and went, back to my life with the same thought process. One day on my day off from my job at Harrah's, Steve Wynn was showing his private collection. And for my first intention was, I want to tell the story how I looked at a Picasso, a Van Gogh one day. So I walked the wall of art, started with Picasso's Le Rêve, and there was Van Gogh, Cezanne, Gauguin, Monet, all the way down to Warhol. I looked at all the art. I knew, the names I knew. Couldn't tell one from the other or anything about them at the time. I came back to the Picasso. In that moment, I took the time to let my thought process shrink down, close in on the thoughts of the painting, the life, the man, the human. Just imagining what he maybe thought as he swiped that red there, or this black there, or this yellow there. And doing this as a layman without understanding how to create art or creating art ever at the time. Letting these thoughts of who this man was, this artist was, this famous guy was, how fame played a role in that. So I took time to allow my thought process to change in a moment from what was in there, and that's how am I going to go spend my check that's in my pocket, and where am I going to, what I'm going to buy with it, and what friends I'm going to hang out with, and what game is there tonight I can bet on, and okay, all that got washed away in a moment, and I allowed myself to focus my thoughts on this painting, which is a human's life. I didn't know nothing about that life, but I could imagine what it might have been, and that is the energy that connected me. You got to surround yourself with art. Maybe not surround yourself with art, but you certainly have got to have the want to let art, if nothing else, visually stimulate you. It's like when you see something and it makes you go, wow. That's a great feeling. That's a really great feeling. And that's what art can do visually for people, And these people that don't create art, they can, include that in their lifestyle and in their family's lives by just going to visit one of the library galleries here in Las Vegas, or coming down to the Arts Factory or Art Square or Priscilla Fowler Gallery, or Recycle Propaganda. Those are on Main Street. And just visually look at art and allow your thoughts to be what they are. Allow your history to play its role as you visually look at a picture of a painting of a nurse and your grandma was a nurse, or a picture of a fireman and your grandpa was a fireman, or your brother is a fireman. These history connections you can make to art is how that energy of art comes to your life. And that's how you connect with art, is you're either connected visually by color or by the content. And the content is about connecting with the history of the path of your life, is what I've recognized as an artist. Being in a room 10 years, putting art on the wall, and having these two eyes come from wherever they started from, at whatever time they started, and to live that life and that path and travel that path, and then bang, they're standing in front of that piece of art that somehow connects to the history of that path. For whatever reason, they might tell me, they might not, I might understand, I might not, but that's a personal thing that happens for the viewer and for the piece of art. Power of that, to connect the people you don't know with the history of their life, and you didn't even know it. There's power in that for me, and then it ends up being a little bit of power for them to connect to that piece and to relive the history of their life. And that is how people that don't create, that want some kind of deeper feeling of life, that's a simple way to open up that avenue, that portal, that whatever you want to call it, that door, to allow these, what I now know is this feeling for life that is greater than yourself. Okay, that's what I've gotten to. You got to understand and want to understand something outside of just this. And when you get to that moment, it's a really wonderful time of discovery. And it happens through people. And that's how I connected to this energy in that moment, how I allowed myself to open up, allow this energy to connect with me, not only me connecting with that energy, allowing it to come to me. And it was a moment because of what happened to my life with art. It was a moment that ranks as the most influential, powerful, substantial moment of my life. And that's how a person that doesn't create can let it come to them. You know, take themselves to the situation, the art exhibit, the art opening, First Friday, the gallery, the library. But you gotta certainly want to open up and let some kind of energy be introduced at whatever level that might be. The power of art, how it has connected me to these humans in specific moments that allow me to pass on some kind of inspiration to this other human, whether they be a stranger or somebody I've talked to before. That is why that moment was introduced to me, is what I know. Not to make my name big, not to pay the bills with my art, to help the other humans that are looking for direction, that are struggling in their life, that are flailing against life. I was all of those things that are cracked, a little bit broken. And when I recognize it in someone, it's a deep, deep connection that we get to share about an understanding. And I try to share with them the power of art, how it healed me, how it showed me, how it taught me, how it gave to me unconditionally, how it taught me love at such a just a personal level, a very authentic level is what art taught me about love. And so I share that with people in moments, with a handshake, with a smile, with a hello, with the introduction to my art, with the conversation, with the crying session with strangers most of the time. I didn't set out for that to happen to my life. That's the power of art that did that to my life, that revealed this understanding for myself that I can help people move a little bit forward in their life, if just for a moment, let alone their life.